bakersessentials.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make raw bread so that you can enjoy raw sandwiches. First, we are going to take 2 cups of pecans and grind them in the food processor. Okay, so we have our pecans ground, and we're just going to put them in our bowl. So we're going to add something else to the food processor. Okay, next I've got 8 organic apples. If you don't have organic where you live, make sure to wash and peel them really well. But I've left the peels on, and we are going to add them to the food processor. You want to make sure to grind it up pretty well unless you want to have big chunks of apple in your bread. Okay. And we're going to do the same. I'm going to stir this because I have big chunks up at the top. I want to make sure that they get ground up smaller. When I first saw this recipe, I thought it was interesting that there were so many apples in it, but it really adds a nice sweetness to the bread. Okay, now I'm going to add the rest of the apples, and I've got 1/4 of a sweet onion and about 1 cup of sun-dried tomatoes that have been soaking in water for a couple of hours. You want to make sure they're drained. You don't want the extra liquid in the bread. Now, during the summer, when I have fresh tomatoes, I use fresh tomatoes, and they work out just fine. Also, during the summer, I have added zucchini in place of a few of the apples because they're fresh and in season. And I'm going to add spices. I've got caraway, garlic powder, and sea salt. If you don't like caraway seeds, go ahead and add something else like dill or any other herb that you like. Okay, so now we have all of our ingredients through the food processor. You want to make sure you have a big enough bowl. Okay, we're going to mix all of this up. And now we're going to add about 2.5 cups of ground flaxseed. I've already ground this in my Vitamix. I just put about 1 cup of flaxseed in at a time and grind it into ground flaxseed like a flour. So that's about 2.5 cups. And it really is actually better to use your fingers when you're mixing this so that you don't end up with clumps of ground flaxseed in your bread. You want the consistency of this dough to be probably about what conventional cookie dough is. Okay, so our dough's ready. If you want, you can take a taste of it to make sure that it's to your liking. but I make this enough that I know this is how I like it. Okay, now that we have our dough ready, we need a dehydrator sheet. This is an Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator. I highly recommend this one. A 9-tray gives you enough room to make multiple batches at the same time so that you're not spending your time every week making fresh bread. Okay, so we're just going to scoop on some of this. You want it about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit thicker if you like thick and hearty bread. This recipe usually makes 2 to 3 trays worth, so I always double it. Okay. Okay, now that you have your dough spread out on your Tex-Flex sheet, what I like to do is score it into 9 pieces. And this will be the size that the bread is when it's done. Then you put it in the dehydrator. You're going to dehydrate it on 110 degrees for about 10 to 12 hours. And then flip it over and remove the Tex-Flex sheet and then dehydrate it again for another 8 to 10 hours until it reaches the consistency that you like. So here's a batch that I did yesterday, and here's what the bread looks like. As you can see, where you scored it, it's already pre-cut, so it's easy to take off and use. And we are actually going to make a sandwich today. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of my freshly made bread, and in this little bowl I've got sour cream from when I made my romaine tacos. I had some extra and it makes a really yummy sandwich spread. So I'm going to add that to the bread. Okay, what I like to put on my sandwiches is fresh tomatoes, avocado, let's see, I'm going to add a little bit of pepper and some sea salt. Some red onions, sprouts, and spinach. What is also really good is sliced cucumber, sunflower sprouts. And there you go. There is your sandwich. Thank you for visiting my website today and watching this video. If you'd like to see more and stay up to date on the new recipes and blogs that I post, please feel free to subscribe to my website by clicking on the subscribe button at the top right-hand side of this page. Thank you and have a great day.